that's about one character, and then the next chapter is about another character.
Yeah.
And SD card's already full.
Oh no.
How? I guess I kind of have two answers.
That's kind of what I was saying too.
Okay. So what's the favorite thing that was announced at Star Wars Celebration? And we're going to get into the rest of it bit by bit. But just to start things off, what's your favorite thing?
So I really enjoyed hearing the director for the Acolyte talk about the show.
Mm-hmm.
It made me want to see the show more just because of her passion for it. And I think it's in safe hands because I was a little skeptical at first.
Yeah, you were.
But
I think everyone was.
Yeah, I mean, they have every right to be. But after hearing her talk about it and her passion and her, I don't know, she's a fan of Star Wars. So, like,
Yeah.
I think she understands what's going on.
Yeah.
So that's my main answer. We can go into our sub answers after your first one.
Okay, I guess my first one, like the first thing that always jumps out at me is the Obi-Wan panel.
Yeah.
That was so good because they showed each of their favorite clips.
That was awesome.
Which I wish, whenever there's interviews like that, I always wish that people would ask the actors or like the creators, like, what's your favorite thing of it? Or like, what's the favorite thing that you've done or something like that.
Yeah.
So the fact that they did that made me happy because all of those clips were like some of the best ones.
Yeah.
And the fact that Hayden's was the last scene
Yep.
was nice.
And he said that was the highlight of his career.
Yeah.
And I just was like, yes. Yes.
Yeah. So that's probably my number one answer. So what's your sub answer?
My sub answer is going to be Jedi Survivor, I think. I'm excited to play it.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know. I think it's going to be an even better game than the first one.
Oh, yeah.
So it's bigger, better.
Yeah.
From what they were talking about. So,
yeah. And we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
About all that stuff. But yeah, that I am obviously very excited for that too. So my sub answer is probably I liked that they announced movies, but I don't really think that, since there was nothing shown really.
Yeah.
I can't really say that, especially since we didn't see any of that panel. So I'd have to say my second favorite thing was the Bad Batch panel.
Okay.
Just hearing all of them talk about it.
Yeah.
And being as emotional as we all were.
Yeah.
With that end and everything. Yeah, and we'll get to more of the details here in a second. But yeah, between those two panels, I was hard to pick between them.
Yeah.
But I feel like everything was really good.
Oh, yeah. I think from all of the ones that I've seen for the past, 3 years, I think this one is like the best one.
It's definitely one of them. Yeah.
It just seemed like everybody was like emotional about the projects they were working on.
Yeah.
And that's always a good sign.
Yeah. Emotional and passionate and excited.
Yes.
To be doing everything. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go through basically everything that happened that we were able to see on the streams, and just kind of talk through our feelings and thoughts on all of these announcements / recaps or like panels talking about things that we weren't necessarily announced, but you know. So they started off with the Lucasfilm Studio panel, and the big announcement was the 3 movies that they announced. The first one is the Mandoverse movie, which a lot of people get triggered when you say Mandoverse, but I'm saying it because I like the term. The Mandoverse, so it will like kind of be a Avengers Endgame style movie for the Mandalorian and Ahsoka and Skeleton Crew and potentially anything else that happens. I don't know.
Yeah.
They said that doesn't come out until like 5 years from now or so.
I think.
Because they want to finish up all of the series first. So
yeah, which makes sense, and that's a good timeline.
Yeah. But that's exciting, because we know that Thrawn is going to be involved, and they've already like teased in the Ahsoka trailer, which we'll talk about, the whole heir to the Empire. They literally said that term, so
yes,
it's a movie that everyone has been wanting. So if they're building up to that, that'll just be super cool. Even though it's not going to be a direct adaptation of the original book, it's still going to be big.
Yeah. Did you say who's directing that one?
Dave Filoni.
Of course.
Yeah, which is a big deal too, because he's never directed a movie before. He's only done TV, so that'll be a big deal for him.
Yes, and I think he's ready for that next step in in media, I guess.
Yeah, and he, from what people have reported on what he was saying, since we didn't actually see the panel, he acted like he was confident and looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. The second movie was called, I don't think they called it this, but they just called the era Dawn of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Which is going to be like even before the Old Republic.
Yeah.
Which they put a timeline up. And they had the Old Republic in that timeline first, and then like they did like a cheeky little reveal of that being like right before it. And kind of a big deal because the Old Republic itself is kind of a reveal, because we haven't really seen them really acknowledge it.
Yeah,
hardly at all.
I don't even think they considered it canon until maybe this year, even maybe.
No,
this
they
weekend.
did. It's always been canon. Like the era, has always been like Revan has always been canon, and
that's true.
Bane and everything. That's all Old Republic still.
Yeah.
It's just they cherry picked things here and there with it.
Yeah.
They even had references to it in like Rebels and stuff.
That's true.
So
yeah,
it's always been canon. It's just bare bones things that they've picked, but they don't usually like acknowledge it. They just kind of dance around it a little bit. So the fact that they like had it and the logo from the game, like the Jedi logo was there. That was kind of a big deal.
It made me happy
seeing it. As Old Republic fans.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, so that movie takes place even before that, so it's going to be kind of like the first Jedi, like the origins of the Force, not the Force, but that's kind of what they said, but like a Force user
discovering how to use the Force,
and like the origins of the Jedi and stuff. So
yeah,
that's going to be directed by James Mangold, who did Logan and is doing the new Indiana Jones. So I'm excited for that one. I think it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I think it'll be a new taste for Star Wars.
I don't know if they're going to I doubt they're going to directly adapt the original Dawn of the Jedi books, because there is a lot of like unnecessary complicated stuff in there.
Yeah.
But if they just kind of simplified it a little bit, I think it would probably be basically the same story.
Yeah.
So Yeah, that's exciting.
I think they mentioned 25,000 years from episode 4.
Yeah, which is so long.
It's a big jump. Yeah.
It's the Old Republic was already too far, I
Yeah.
feel like. And to go even farther.
Almost 5 times farther.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's like we were discussing the other night,
Yeah.
how they're already, like, the big joke with Star Wars, not joke, but like the thing about Star Wars is you have this technology and like this this technology set in the original trilogy, and then you go back to the prequels, which is like just a few years before, and it's still basically the same, which is understandable.
Yeah, it's only
But then
40 years.
you know, the Old Republic games and books and comics and stuff, basically the same still, and it's like thousands of years. There's like little things, like some of them still use like swords and stuff.
Yeah.
But since they wanted to keep it familiar enough, they mostly just kept it the same. So that's kind of a thing with Star Wars, is like technology never changes.
Yeah.
And now, ever since the High Republic has started, they've actually started to kind of change it a little bit.
Yeah.
And so like I don't think hyperspace was discovered or really like until much later than it was in the Legends books and stuff,
Yeah.
because that happened like thousands of years before even like Knights of the Old Republic took place.
Right.
There was like the Great Hyperspace War and everything.
Yeah.
So they are changing that. So it'll be interesting to see, like, are they just going to be like cavemen? Like discovering the Force, like a caveman discovers fire, they're going to be
Yeah.
like discovering the Force.
I hope not, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't be mad, but like I don't think that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be quite that primitive, but I think it'll probably be like pretty close to like the origins of like at least a civilization, maybe not all planets.
I feel like for it to be still considered like Star Wars, there has already been like the entrance of like, rocket ships or like spaceships like taking people to space. So
Yeah, otherwise we'd just be on the same planet.
yeah,
For the whole
that
movie.
would be great. It would be okay, but I think to keep it Star Wars, like,
Yeah.
I think that idea has to still be there.
I think it would probably be, since it's just one movie, probably like explain during like the first half or the first fourth of the movie of like how it all happened.
Right.
But that's not the whole movie. Like
Yeah.
it'll probably jump ahead a little bit and be like, and then like those Force users formed the Jedi Order, and then like here's the first Jedi group that formed, and
Yeah.
then they'll explain like, and this is how the Sith like formed and
Yeah.
like broke off from them or something like that.
That sounds really cool.
That sounds more intriguing than just like seeing cavemen like discover the Force
Yeah.
on one planet. But I have faith that they'll probably find some way to make it interesting. I mean, James Mangold is an amazing director, so
Yeah, I think he'll figure out something cool to tell.
yeah. So the third movie is going to be about Rey. Daisy Ridley's coming back, and she's going to be starting the new Jedi Order, directed by Charmin Obaid-Chinoy. I don't know if that's how you say it, but I thought the director was a very interesting choice. I looked up her credits.
Mm-hmm.
Not much.
So all I know is she directed Ms. Marvel.
That's pretty much it.
And that doesn't excite me.
Well, the even weirder thing is, it was only 2 episodes.
For that show?
She only directed 2 episodes.
Hmm.
And all of her other things weren't big things at all. There's like 3 or 4 other things that she did. So I think that's interesting.
I wonder if, okay, this might be just mean, but I feel like if any of these 3 movies here were to fall through, I feel like that one would be the first one to fall through. Maybe Dawn of the Jedi. I don't know.
I think they're at a point where they're too far into this.
Yeah.
Because all the other announcements that they've done, which they've done a few, but they were never really to this magnitude.
Yeah,
like,
it was never at a celebration.
Yeah, it was always at like a investors meeting, or they would just put it up on like Twitter or like their website, like StarWars.com. So it was never something like this where they like physically bring out Daisy Ridley and be like, "Hey, we're making this movie." And so I think they're probably farther along. I mean, we've had rumors that Daisy Ridley is coming back for like months now,
which I'm happy about.
Yeah,
even though I'm not a fan of the sequels, I want her character to like be good.
Yeah, I mean, I always liked her character until The Rise of Skywalker, really. Yes. But it wasn't her character like herself. It was just the stupid origin they came up with.
Yeah, well, if they even came up with that, yeah.
What do you mean?
It wasn't set in stone until the end, you know?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
They came up with it at that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I really like the Rey character, so I'm excited for this. It is weird that they're using the new Jedi Order name, but I mean, they didn't use it for Luke's, so I'm glad that they're at least using it, because that's the name that Luke's was in the Legends books.
Right.
So that's fine for me. I know a lot of people are probably mad about that, but they already knew that it wasn't happening for Luke. So,
I mean, we could still see it.
I mean, yeah, we could still see his academy and stuff, but I'm just talking about the name.
Yeah.
The new Jedi Order is like a huge book series.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. I think my biggest hope for this movie is that Finn comes back.
Oh, yeah.
As a Jedi.
Yeah, and just have them both.
Master and apprentice.
Yeah.
And then they can teach more people.
Yeah. That'd be great. So hopefully he comes back. I know he's gone back and forth on his like attitude on Star Wars. Rightly so.
I think from what I've heard, I think he's more mad at how his character was handled. I think would be happy to come back under the right circumstances.
Yeah.
I mean, he loves Star Wars just like everybody else, so.
Yeah, and I don't think he's mad.
Correct.
People like blow it up more than what it is.
Yeah.
I think he was just disappointed, as everyone was.
Yeah.
With how his character was handled. So yeah, I think he would come back. If Daisy comes back, I think he could come back.
Oh yeah.
Especially if she asked him, because those 3 became pretty good friends on set.
Yeah.
So
could we get all 3?
Yeah, if he comes back, then we have to have Poe.
Yeah.
Even if he's just like popping in and out, be like, "Hey guys."
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Because those 3 had really good chemistry.
Oh yeah, it was what you would want.
Yeah.
So
that's exciting. I'm not sure which one they expect to release first, but
I don't know. It's hard to tell.
I'm gonna be happy with any of those options, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those were the 3 movie announcements. And then they moved on to the Acolyte, and they showed footage just to the room.
Yeah.
So we haven't seen the footage, which is really annoying.
Yeah.
I think it did leak, but I didn't
see it.
want to watch someone like shaking their like
Yeah.
phone around and like, so they'll show it probably like sometime this year.
I hope so.
Hopefully not as long as it took for them to show Ahsoka's trailer, because they showed that footage last year at Celebration.
They did, yeah.
And then it's been like a whole year since then.
Yeah.
So,
I think they said they're still shooting. That's why they didn't have anything to show besides what they showed.
yeah. But apparently what they showed looked really, really good.
Oh, that's good.
Like it wasn't like unfinished.
That's
it was
good.
like all the effects and stuff were there.
Good.
So, and everyone, I don't think I've seen anyone say that it looked bad.
So it just makes me more excited.
Yeah. So I don't want to go into like I don't want to explain someone else's recollection of something that they saw, because then it's like
Yeah.
3 times removed.
Yeah.
But from like what Star Wars Explained said,
Yeah.
is like there's a lot of like lightsaber action, lots
Okay.
of Jedi and Sith. Like
Yeah.
it's the Acolyte, so
Yeah.
and they said that it's like a big cast and they have like really good chemistry together. And then we saw like when in their interviews, I don't know if you saw them, but the cast really did have good chemistry. Like they're just a bunch of kids like
Yeah.
goofing around together and
Yeah.
like getting in trouble on set, just
Awesome.
like being goofy. So that's good to hear that
Yeah.
they're like having fun with it. And then like you said, with the director, she's having fun with it.
Yes.
And she, in her interview on the like center stage or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
she explained that she like she used to read the books and the comics and stuff back in like the 90s, and she is like really familiar with like Legends,
Yeah.
like expanded universe and stuff,
Which
is
very rare for who's making movies these
yeah,
days.
definitely. And it's important for the era that she's making
Correct.
Star Wars in,
Yeah.
the High Republic, even though it's towards the end, you know, there's Legends books that take place during that time.
Yeah.
So
I think one of the coolest quotes that she said, and this is just paraphrasing, but she mentioned like how the High Republic, you have all these Jedi and they're at the height of their power. And she said her favorite thing was taking like that view of them, but from the point of view of the Sith,
yeah,
the bad guys, and you know, what are they thinking about it? How are they taking action against that slowly with, you know, conniving plans and stuff? And I think it just sounds so cool.
yeah. Yeah, I think it'll probably be from both sides, like both points of view.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking like we're going to see the Jedi actors like from their point of view, and then also the main point of view of the Sith, and then they're going to like meet
Yeah.
and just like one off, like they're going to die. Something like that. At least that's in my head.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to speculate that heavily into that, but yeah, I mean, having 2 different points of view really needs to happen more for Star Wars. I mean,
Yes. We've talked about this many times.
yeah, Andor did it perfectly.
Yes.
And it's something that pretty much every series does that isn't like a procedural, where it's like a book. Like you have one chapter has multiple perspectives and does it like Andor, basically.
Yeah.
Which is just what we keep going back to. Like, everything should be more like Andor in different ways. Not every way, but in different ways.
I think it should be easy to achieve that, even though it's not.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. We'll get to Andor in a second. But I think they said the Acolyte comes out next year.
2024.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometime next year. Which I think it was supposed to come out this year originally.
Probably.
Like at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Or at least start.
I think they had a late.
They had to delay like everything.
Yeah.
So it was just like one of the last things that kind of got affected by that.
But if it comes out this time next year, then that's great.
Yeah. In the spring.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I put these in the wrong order, but Ahsoka was the next thing.
Yeah, probably.
And they finally released a trailer for it.
Yeah, it looked awesome.
It looked so good. They had these new like Dark Jedi characters.
Mm-hmm.
Not really sure who they are, like what they stand for.
Yeah.
Their lightsabers look dumb.
I think Dave mentioned the color being on purpose, obviously.
Well, yeah.
And he said they're orange, in quotes. Orange.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. Well, some people were speculating that they were red and they're, just a funky red. But he said they're on purpose a red-orange type of thing.
Yeah, I mean,
So
they're different. The core is not white.
well, yeah.
That's why they're different.
Yeah.
Obviously. So you can see that the core is orange.
Yeah.
And in I made this joke to some of my friends that get every Knights of the Old Republic reference that I throw at them.
Yeah.
And I was like, it looks like those Dark Jedi found the Heart of the Guardian crystals because that's what they are. It's exactly what they look like. So I think they did say that they aren't Sith.
Yes.
So there's that. And during this time in Legends, like during the whole Heir to the Empire thing, Dark Jedi are like a thing.
Okay.
Not necessarily like fallen Jedi, like that used to be Jedi.
Yeah.
That's just like they're not Sith, but they are dark side users and they are referenced as Dark Jedi. I don't know if that's what they're going to be called.
It'll be interesting to see how that's incorporated to everything.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, we're just going to find out who they are.
Yeah.
There was a scene where like the guy was fighting Ahsoka,
Mm-hmm.
and it looked a lot like the World Between Worlds.
Yeah.
Which I don't want.
I think it's going to happen no matter what. So
I disagree with that.
I don't know.
I don't think it needs to happen at all.
I don't know. I think just due to Ahsoka's story, it's part of how she's here. So I think it coming up at some point again is going to be, inevitable.
I disagree. Because it is very messy.
It is, but I think it could be handled in a way where it wouldn't be messy.
I guess, but the more you handle with it, the more messy it's gonna be.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've said it on this show very many times. I don't like time travel
Yeah.
or the multiverse or anything like that. So that's that. If it's done in a good way, or like the story is written in like a meaningful way that utilizes it, then fine. The way they did in Rebels was fine ish. But
I mean,
you can only do it so many times before it.
Yeah, you're gonna have a consequence at some point.
Yeah, or you just, since you're the writer, you don't have to have a consequence. So
Well, yeah, but I think eventually you could have her going back, I guess, in reverse to where she came through, which would be fighting Vader.
you think we're gonna see that scene again?
Maybe not in the season, but I think, near the end of her story, I think, poetically, it could be she gets forced to go back to how she came through the
Oh, I
the
see what you
time,
mean.
and Vader kills her.
That would be really sad.
It would be very sad.
But I also don't want that to happen.
No one would want that to happen.
No, I mean, like, I don't know. Just reminds me of The Flash.
Yeah.
Where they just, he keeps doing it, and then there's a consequence, and then he does it again, and then there's another consequence, and like, just stop.
Yeah.
Or there's just like another consequence after the first consequence, and it's like, okay, we get it.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have done it.
Yeah. No, I think I'm half with you on that, where I don't want it to be getting out of hand, where it's literally like Spider-Man right now. Like,
yeah,
that's not fun.
I mean, that's, yeah. I guess Spider-Man's starting to get that way too.
Yeah. So if we went that direction, I would probably check out, as I think you would.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I'm checked out at the MCU because of that.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would go that way.
No, I don't think it would get that crazy, but I don't know.
But we have the 4 amigos back.
Yeah. Hera and Sabine and Chopper and Ezra, kinda. Solomon a hologram,
Mm-hmm.
but that could have just been like a recording.
Yeah. Which, yeah, that makes sense. And we wouldn't see him till maybe later.
Yeah. Because I think the big reason that they're looking for Thrawn is also to find Ezra.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. It's exciting to see them all back.
In live action.
Yeah.
Hera looks good.
Yeah.
Sabine looks the exact same.
Yeah.
Like identical.
Yeah. And then Thrawn officially being played by Lars Mikkelsen, who played him in Rebels.
Yes.
The voice. Which is what everyone wanted, but there was a lot of people saying that it probably would never happen.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I think there can only be one Thrawn. His voice is too iconic.
Yeah, it was just too perfect, and he's already an amazing live action actor, so
yeah,
he could easily do it. Basically, his character in Sherlock was like basically Thrawn.
Yeah,
and that's basically probably what he's going to be playing it like. So
yeah,
in the trailer they only showed the back of his head,
Yes.
but in the panel they showed more footage and they showed him, and that image leaked.
Yeah,
A really
I did
good,
see that
really
one.
good picture
It
of
looked
it.
a little warped, but yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he looks good. I mean, he's got the pupils,
Which is good.
which is good for him, good for acting.
Yes.
So you can actually see where his eyes are and everything. A lot of people are going to be mad about that, but it's just kind
He
of
had pupils in Rebels.
yeah.
So
Yeah, just in canon in general,
yeah.
I think they're just going to go like Chiss have pupils.
Yeah.
Even though the first Chiss we saw in A New Hope didn't have pupils, that was 40, almost 50 years ago. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's exciting.
Yeah. Especially for a character like that, where like his acting is going to have a lot of nuances in his face and his eye contact and his everything. So seeing where he's looking and everything is going to play a big role in the character. Otherwise, you'd just be like seeing nothing and he'd just be standing there.
Yeah. Which I don't think he could not do that. I think he would do it well. I just think to have his eyes appear moving is just so much of the character.
Yeah, it's just going to give a lot more depth to his performance. So, yeah, so the Ahsoka trailer just looked so good. So Ahsoka comes out in August. Is that what they said?
Yeah.
I forgot to put that down here, but yeah, I think they said August, which seems far away, but it's not really. Summer always goes by fast.
Yeah,
so
it's here almost.
Yeah, so won't have to wait too long. Plus, we still have 2 more Mandalorian episodes to go.
Yeah, but that lull in the middle between shows it's so hard.
Yeah. Yeah, so then they had the Andor panel. They confirmed season 2, sorry. Season 2 is already filming, and they're kind of like ahead of schedule. And so they're going to be releasing that next year, probably at the end of the year.
Yeah, probably.
So that's a lot sooner than what people expected, considering how long it took them to do the first season.
Yeah. And condensing it down to 3.
Yeah.
To 2. No, you said 3. I'm lost.
It's going to be the last season.
Season 2 is the last season.
Yeah.
Okay, so from 5 to 2?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So each arc is going to be like a whole year worth of story. It takes place during a year.
And it'll meet up with Rogue One.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll see if that stays, because like the big reason Andor was so well done was it took its time.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a slow burn, and that's just kind of the show that it was. But season 2 is a condensed 3 seasons into one. That's probably going to feel a little rushed, just naturally.
As in, like, what happens in the story? Or
the
production of it?
Probably both.
Yeah. I mean, I think the writers of Andor can figure out a way to make it feel right, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I have faith in them, but I also know like there's only so much that they're going to be able to do with that.
Yeah.
So you just have to go into it with that. So I'm a little disappointed that we're not getting more than just 2 seasons. But I still think it's going to be amazing. So
Is there a
I'm not worried.
chance that that could change back to 3?
I mean, yes, depending on when they decide to do it.
Yeah. Because I don't think they realized how well the show would be received when they decided to bump it down to 2, maybe?
I mean, I think it was just all Tony Gilroy. He just said that he didn't want to spend that much time.
That's fair.
Because that's a lot of years to dedicate to it.
Yeah.
And he's just not the type of person that does that.
And he's not really a huge Star Wars fan, I don't think.
No, but in the panel for the show, he definitely seemed more interested in it all than people say that he is. Like, he answered so many questions with a lot of like knowledge and like passion for Star Wars, even though he's not like a diehard fan, but he's always been painted as this person that hates Star Wars, and like he's only doing it for the money and stuff. But I didn't get that vibe at all.
I got the vibe that he did seem a little standoffish.
Well, that's just his personality.
Okay. Yeah. Then, he answered questions really well.
Yeah, really well.
Yeah.
And he was like super happy to answer anything.
Yeah.
That he was funny and like, yeah, he's super standoffish.
Yeah.
And like, you don't want to be on his bad side. I could definitely got that vibe, but
he's a little.
Yeah, but
he gets things done.
He was better at that than I thought he would be, considering how people have described him.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think it'll end up being good. Just probably not the same. Like, different good.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong.
Could be better.
Or they could change their mind.
Yeah.
But if they do, it would have to be like now.
Yeah.
Or at least within the year, because they have to do it like while they're filming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, non-Star Wars news, not really news, but the new trailer for the Indiana Jones movie came out, basically the same as the other trailers, but some different footage here and there. It looks really good.
Yeah. Even though it's not my main interest from a Lucasfilm, I do like them. And I'm excited to see it. I think I need to catch up or rewatch all of them to kind of prepare myself for that.
Probably.
Yeah. But
I mean, I've watched them so many times. I know they're just ingrained in my head. You could probably
quote them. But yeah, I think from what the trailer looked like, it looks like it's going to be
a fun time.
Yeah, quite actionable.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was nice that they acknowledged that and that they put out a new trailer for that. Comes out in June, I think. So that'll be fun.
That was all of day one.
Yeah, that was just day one.
Yeah.
That was just one panel or one thing. I think the rest of the day they had all of the like little interviews here and there.
Yeah, with various people from what they just announced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just a lot of good information throughout the day. And the second day they had the Clone Wars 15th anniversary panel. And
so good.
So yeah, they got, the 4 original cast members. All right, it was 4.
Yeah.
They had Anakin, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka,
Rex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rex and everybody.
A million more on the way. Yeah.
So it was nice to see them just like catch up with each other and
Yeah, they're
talk.
literally brother and sisters.
Yeah.
Or brothers and sister.
Yeah. And just hearing Dave talk about it and the other crew members talking about like the early days and stuff was really interesting. But at the end, Dave announced that he's doing Tales of the Jedi Season 2, which is kind of expected.
Yeah.
Because you can't just do something like that and not do more because they're so short and everything. We only got 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Of 2 characters. So he said he went like a big long thing about how he wants to use it as a way to like teach the people at the animation team the way that George taught him.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really nice.
Pass on the torch.
Yeah. Which he's always done.
Yes.
But I think since he kind of did that with Bad Batch.
Yeah.
He is probably just trying to get more people in on that. Because they probably have a pretty big team now.
Yeah, which is awesome.
And probably making more than one team to handle, multiple projects at once. So
that's crazy.
Exciting. So, so Tales of the Jedi, if you don't know what that is, it's like short little episodes, usually focused on one character in like certain moments in their life. So the first season was 3 episodes of Count Dooku, before he turned to the dark side.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah.
So like when he was a Jedi and everything, and his reasons for leaving. And then the second 3 were about Ahsoka and her early life and reasons for why she was trained the way she was and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Really good stuff.
Yeah, I think it's top tier storytelling from the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Like moments. Top tier moments, I
guess. Oh, moments, yeah.
Yeah, like comparable, I'd say.
I just wish they weren't shorts.
Oh,
they were way too short.
Yeah.
That's my only gripe with it. Like they could have easily just made them full episodes.
Yeah, like the Bad Batch.
Yeah. So I thought that was a weird decision to do that, especially after hearing like why Dave did it in the first place. And I know there's like a budget and everything he has to deal with, but
yeah,
like it's gonna do well.
Yeah, especially when you do those 2 characters.
Yeah, or just any characters, really. I mean, he's gonna tell good stories, so. Like if the next season is like Plo Koon, like everyone loves Plo Koon, and then you could attach another like even bigger character onto it, like someone else. I don't know.
Yeah.
People keep asking about Dark Disciple being one of the options with Ventress and Maul and what's his name? Mostly Ventress, though.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Because she, I think, deserves more light. Just as a character. Like, I know most of her end story is told in the books.
It's that book.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know that.
That's like her big story. Because it was supposed to be in the Clone Wars.
Yeah. I think she deserves to have more stories in media.
Yeah. I mean, that whole story is like her most interesting story.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be in season 7 or maybe 6. And then it got cut.
6,
yeah. Yeah, so that's happening. The next thing was the High Republic panel, which was really long.
But it was so good.
It was really good. I mean, I still haven't finished Light of the Jedi, the first book.
Yeah.
But I keep up with it just through like other YouTube channels and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm familiar with pretty much like the broad scope of it and all the authors and stuff. But it's cool that they keep adding more authors.
Yeah.
So they added the Dr. Aphra author.
Yes.
Which was good. But they announced phase 3 is happening and they're going to stretch it out a little longer. So instead of releasing it like all in 1 year or less than a year, like they have been doing, they're going to stretch it out between 2 years, which is good because there's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much to keep up with.
Especially if you're not reading like every day.
Yeah.
And watching the
even
shows.
Every week.
Yeah.
Or more than
every 6 months.
Yeah, it's just a lot to keep up with. Even if you just do like the adult novels.
Yeah.
It's still a lot. So it's good that they're kind of pacing it out a little more, letting people catch up. So then they're more excited for the new stuff.
Yeah.
And it's cool that they are like mirroring how it was released. So Charles Soule started it off with Light of the Jedi, and then all the other authors like did their own thing after that. And then it's just going to be mirrored. So every author will make theirs in conjunction with that. And then Charles Soule ends it with Trials of the Jedi. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. The way they explained it was awesome to hear.
Yeah.
And I don't know. The way they do their interviews is just so nice. The way they explain how they make the books, how they come up with the characters, is just so enjoying to watch.
Enjoyable.
Yeah, enjoyable to watch. But it made me want to start reading again.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to finish.
I think I'm going to.
Yeah. I have so much to catch up on now. But it is funny. There was a point where Cavan Scott was like, if you go back and read them a second time, you'll catch a lot of things that you didn't know were going to pop up in phase 2. Same thing with phase 3. And he's notorious for that, of like dropping in Easter eggs everywhere.
Of course.
Even if he doesn't know what they are at the time.
Yep.
I think he has a big list of things that he then writes into like future books.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really funny. So it's exciting and overwhelming, but at least it's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
To be overwhelmed with that.
I just am enjoying the High Republic era.
Yeah.
And
so
I haven't even read the books. Like it just looks so cool.
I mean, you've read a couple.
I've read
like 3.
2.5.
Yeah. I mean, that counts.
And some of my favorite characters are from the High Republic.
Yeah.
So.
And you're only 2.5 books in.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah. So if you don't know what the High Republic is, it's like it started out as a big publication initiative.
Yeah.
Called Project Luminous, which I get the name now because like the whole thing is like the slogan is for light and life.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's awesome.
Yeah. And it's just a bunch of authors that collaborate together to make all of these stories connect. And they sometimes like borrow characters from like another author's book, and like they always like try to make it so they're connected. And they started with, they're doing 3 phases. So they just announced phase 3. Phase 1 started, was it 250 years before? 300 years?
I think it was 200.
Somewhere around there. Like 300 to 200 years before The Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
And then phase 2 actually went back in time and is a prequel, which is a very Star Wars thing to do. And
I actually didn't know this.
yeah, it takes place before phase 1. And
That's
so
cool.
there's some characters that are either relatives or are actually, they're old enough. Their species age is old enough.
Like Yoda.
Yeah, Yoda and a few others. I think Yarla Poof is one of them.
Of course. Ageless.
So then phase 3 is just going to go back to take place after phase 1.
Yeah.
So you get all these stories and characters in phase 1, and then in phase 2 you kind of get context of why some of this stuff is happening. And then phase 3 is going to be like the payoff. So there's some criticism with that decision, but it's no different than like George doing it with the movies. So
yeah. So I'm thinking, as you're talking about this, the end of phase 3 would be close to the Acolyte, right?
Yeah.
So I'm guessing we're going to have some characters overlap in that
Maybe.
area too. That'll be cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the High Republic. Lots of stuff to be excited for there. If you like books or comics.
Children's books.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think most people, they usually make it to where you can just read even just one thing on its own.
Yeah.
And have like a satisfying story. It doesn't have to connect to anything.
Yeah. No, I definitely got that.
Or just with the adult novels or with just the kids' novels, like they all are connected to each other, but tell one story where you don't need everything.
Yeah.
But if you do read everything, you are rewarded for that.
Oh, yeah.
Can you get a little more context or Easter eggs here and there?
Yeah, because I read Light of the Jedi, and then I read the next book in line, which the Light of the Jedi was the adult novel.
Yeah.
And I read the next one, which was the young adult novel. And it happens during the events of the first book.
Yeah.
And so reading that one and then this one next was really cool to see different Jedi's perspective of what's happening, and they don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And some things happen, some things are sad, some
Yeah.
things are happy. So it's really cool. And I'm guessing that just keeps happening throughout. So,
and I think like even characters from the young adult novels will sometimes show up in the adult ones.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. It's similar to how like the new Jedi Order books were back in the early 2000s. It was a similar initiative, or kind of like how Shadows of the Empire was. Even though it was just one book.
Yeah.
It was a video game and I think a comic as well, and all these different things, and they all kind of told it in a different way.
Yeah.
Because the game, you play as Dash Rendar, but the book, I don't even think he barely shows up. It's been a while since I've read it, but it's mostly from the perspective of the main characters, like Luke and Leia and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that, but on steroids. Yeah. It's so much bigger. Yeah, so I think that was the end of the second day.
Yes. Yeah.
And then Sunday.
It's literally just Jedi Survivor.
No.
Yeah.
It had other stuff too. Or maybe that was... I can't remember. The days blurred together.
Yeah, I don't even remember.
But it doesn't really matter. So they showed the new game coming out, Jedi Survivor. they showed like a new gameplay trailer, and
Yes.
then they had I forget his role,
Director.
game director Stig Admundsen, and the actor that plays Cal, Cameron Monaghan,
Yep.
come out, and it was just so funny.
Yep.
Cam was just all about the ponchos.
Yep.
And
Never actually got the answer.
yeah. So the joke is like the first game, Fallen Order, the only thing you can put on your character as customization is a poncho, and you
Yeah.
can change the color. And so in this game, they're taking the customization like way further. You can do so many more like outfits and stuff.
I think you can change the visual, like face, like a beard and hair.
Yeah, you can change beard and hair. You can't change his face.
No, like that'd be weird.
Yeah, it's just a completely different actor. But yeah, you can pretty much do everything else. He said like they wanted to make it as good as how they made the lightsaber customization in the first game.
Yeah.
And just apply that to everything else.
Yeah.
So from what I've seen, I don't think they show it in the trailer, but I've seen footage of it, and it's pretty extensive.
Yeah.
Compared to the first game. But haven't seen a poncho yet.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll find out.
Because he came out wearing a poncho.
Yeah. And I liked how he gave it to the fans at the end.
That's awesome.
He's like, that guy's not wearing a poncho. And then he gives it to him.
So it's taking place 5 years later.
Yeah.
And I think at the start of the game, Cal has been separated from the Mantis crew.
Yeah.
So I think the story's gonna have them come back together.
Hopefully.
It looks like it from the trailer.
Yeah.
Because they are together in the trailer.
Yeah. So there's also a book. They didn't mention this, but there's a book that came out about a month ago that's supposed to be like bridging the gap between the two games.
Yeah.
So I read it.
Okay.
Or I didn't read the whole thing. I started to read it.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't it wasn't bad. But there was a lot of weird you know how we complain about movies getting the Marvel treatment with like humor?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like that.
Just too much comedy.
Too much like one-liners and like some phrases that didn't really fit into Star Wars very well.
Yeah.
So I kind of just gave up on it. I was like, I don't think he would say something like that.
Who is it written by?
She's written... I don't think she's written very many books. I think it was her first Star Wars book. But she's like someone my age. She's actually written for Call of Duty.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't really know anything else that she had done. But like the writing itself wasn't bad. It was just some of the stuff didn't really fit into Star Wars in my head.
Yeah.
But it's also like when you're someone that struggles to get into books anyways.
Yeah.
I really have to pick and choose my battles there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's disappointing.
Star Wars Explained had a interview with her
Okay.
about a month ago.
Yeah.
And they kind of explain some of the basics of the book. There's a lot of Marin in it, which is kind of why I wanted to read it, because that's interesting.
Yeah, she's a really cool character.
But yeah.
So in the new game, they've gone from 2 lightsaber stances, they kind of called it, to 5. And I think one was obviously the double-bladed, and then dual-wielding they mentioned was fully developed now. It was kind of half developed in the first game.
Yeah, it was mostly just like an extension of the double-bladed.
Yeah. So that's fully developed now in the second game, and then
Yeah.
they have 3 other ones too.
Yeah, it just reminded me of Jedi Academy because that game has 5 stances,
Yeah.
but in that game you can't switch between them all whenever you want.
Okay.
You can only switch between. It's limited, so like if you have a single bladed, then you can only switch between 3, like fast, medium, and strong. Or if you have a double bladed, then you can only switch between double bladed or single bladed, like turn off one of your blades.
Yeah.
And then same with dual wield. So I don't think that they're going to do that. I think you can switch between all of them whenever you want.
Or maybe you have to go to the skill tree.
Yeah.
Or whatever that is, meditate.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll just have to, like, at the most or at the least, have to do something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah. And their use of stance is also straight out of Jedi Academy.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I loved that.
And then speaking of the skill tree, they mentioned it's expanded even bigger.
Yeah.
So you can fully customize Cal to your liking.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the first one was already pretty extensive.
Yeah.
So
I think with the added stances, you're going to have so many options.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it just more proves that this game is like trying to be like the Star Wars version of God of War.
Yes.
But that's a very good thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Because that's like one of the best games of all time, especially the new one. But they also have your ability to use a blaster.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, which is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
And it's also reminds me of Jedi Academy because that's something that they talked about wanting to do in that game, to be able to use both at the same time.
Yeah.
But you can separately.
Yeah.
But being able to switch between those two in this game is going to be really cool.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But it also reminds me of God of War because his thing is like he has like 3 or 4 different weapons that he can switch between, and they are all very different.
Yeah.
So you also get like a grappling hook in this, or like some kind of ascension cable or something.
Yeah.
And it lets you reach different parts of the map, which is exactly how God of War is. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they mentioned like the vertical part of the map has been like doubled or tripled or something.
Yeah, the verticality. Yeah, which it's not something that ever bothers me, but I know it's something a lot of people like about open world games is being able to not just explore on
Ground level.
one plane, but yeah, being able to like climb things and like go to a different level, and it does make it feel bigger and like more expansive, but it's not something that bothered me about the first game, really.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't know.
But that is cool, and the fact that you have to use certain tools that you acquire to then reach a different part of the map that you couldn't before.
Yeah.
Is really cool. Because when you go through it the first time, it's like God of War, or at least God of War Ragnarok. You see things that are like, what the heck is that thing? And then you're like, okay, well, there's nothing I can do with it now. And then you eventually like acquire something that lets you use it.
Okay.
And then you can finally use that to reach a different part of the map.
Yeah.
And there's like 3 different tools in that game that let you do that. So sounds like it's similar to how that is, which will be cool.
Yeah. And make you just want to go back and 100% it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm really excited for that. I pre-ordered it after I watched that.
What is your favorite thing, what's one thing that you're excited about for the game?
Coruscant.
Yeah. Yep.
As soon as they said that, I was like, yes. Because it's gonna be able to just be explored, and it's gonna look so good.
Yeah. I think besides that, he mentioned like you're gonna have the ability to have Marin or one of the members of the crew be a
Yeah.
partner or something, kind of like BD has been, but
Yeah.
I think that could be very
I
interesting.
feel like the way we've seen it in all of the gameplay doesn't make it seem like what people think it's going to be.
Yeah.
What people are like picturing when they say that is like a companion that just follows you around and like helps you in combat. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be more like how it was with Marin in the first game, where she kind of helps you towards the end of the Dathomir arc in that specific part of the story.
And she just shows up when she's needed.
Yeah, and then she's gone. So like with the new character, it looked like he was in a certain part of the story in the map. And then he helps you a little bit in that spot, but we don't see him anywhere else. And same with Marin. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be like a companion that follows you around. Otherwise, they probably would have shown that.
Yeah.
With like, she's like right next to him.
Okay. Well,
which is still cool. I think it's more creative that way.
To integrate it into the specific part.
Just having a companion that follows you around. He already has BD. So having another one, I just feel like is just another, like, I don't know, someone that gets in your way.
Yeah. I don't know if they talked about this, but do you think you'll be able to play as another character for specific parts of the map?
Like Mary Jane and Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because I know a lot of people want to be Marin.
I mean, having like the Night Sister magic would be sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would love that.
Yeah. I'm not expecting it, but I think that would be really cool.
Yeah. I'd be all for that. It just might be a secret that they're trying to keep.
Yeah, which would be an awesome secret to keep.
Yeah. Also, Cameron said at the end, he was like begging people not to spoil it.
Yeah.
Which means like, I don't know, what's going to happen? Yeah, what's going to happen at the end? Like, the first game already had a crazy ending.
Yeah.
Which was like a big reveal, so something's going to happen.
Makes me want to play that game again.
Yeah, I thought about it, but
it's so long.
I keep mentioning Star Wars Explained in this because I'd watched like all of his videos, but he played through it
and
again.
Played through it
every week, and I didn't watch the whole thing like every time he played, but I would like pop in every once in a while and I'd be like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Like, I don't know, just little parts here and there. I was like, oh yeah, I completely forgot.
Yeah.
Like I know that there was like the whole reveal at the end with a certain villain that I won't spoil, but I for some reason forgot that he like went into the base of the Inquisitors.
Oh yeah.
And then like Obi-Wan did the exact same thing, the exact same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. Could that be lazy writing or just, better way of doing it or something? I don't know.
Probably lazy.
Yeah.
I think they just really wanted to show the Inquisitors base.
Yeah. In live action.
Yeah.
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 I guess a question I have for that is, are we going to continue to see more Inquisitors in this game? And maybe a certain villain again?
I don't know.
Because I think it's going to be focused around that Jedi Survivor that we see in the trailer.
Yeah, the High Republic guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just insane.
But the very first trailer we saw had that one Powin that had Cal's lightsaber.
That's true.
We haven't seen anything about that since then.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. So I thought he might be some kind of villain. But maybe he's like the baby villain at the beginning.
Baby villain.
And then something else. You know, there's always a bigger fish sort of thing.
You got the Rancor from the trailer and the Gendai.
Yeah, there's going to be crazy boss fights.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. So that's Jedi Survivor. That comes out the end of this month?
Yeah, pretty soon.
Yeah, really soon.
Maybe I should order it.
Yeah, maybe you should get it digitally. So then, because I ordered it physically, because I wanted it on my shelf.
Yeah.
But if you get it digitally, then I can get it on day one.
Okay.
If we both can get it on day one.
Yeah, I can do that.
Unless you really want the disc. But that's not something you usually care about.
No, I try not to.
I mean, I don't usually.
I know.
But
unless
if it's a Star Wars game,
it fits your collections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm behind on Call of Duty.
I noticed that.
But that's a game that you want to play on day one too.
Yeah.
Anyways, Visions had a panel and they showed season 2 footage. I don't care about Visions. It's cool in a way for people that like that kind of stuff.
After watching that trailer, I was like, whoa.
I mean, it definitely looks cool. They always
at least
do
that specific one.
They do Sith characters so cool.
I know. Like,
it's like, why do they get to do the cool Sith characters? Yeah, I mean, it looks cool. At least that one did.
I think it was cool how they have different art styles for this season.
Yeah, like different studios.
I don't know if they did that in the first.
They did, but they kept them all basically the same.
Similar, yeah.
They were all like Japanese anime artists.
Yeah. Yeah, this one you have one similar to Clone Wars or Bad Batch style. You have one that's a little more cartoony.
Yeah.
Then you have a felt
3D
kind of one.
Looks weird.
It's weird and cool at the same time.
They're all weird and cool at the same time.
Yeah. I don't know how many there are, but those were the ones that stood out to me.
7 or 9.
It's crazy.
One of those odd numbers.
And they're all different.
Yeah. I still haven't watched season 1.
I haven't either, but I kind of want to like skim through it at least and see.
I mean, I've seen clips of them.
Yeah,
but
I have to.
Yeah. Just not really my thing, but I'm glad it exists because it's cool.
Yeah, it's something
for people that like it.
Yeah.
Other than that,
your favorite panel?
The last 2 favorite panels.
Yeah.
Bad Batch got a panel. They just kind of talked through season 2 and what they did to us and our emotions. But I loved it because Michelle Ong was there who voices Omega.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love that she just sounds exactly like Omega. Like, she doesn't change her voice hardly at all.
Yeah, it's so funny.
But it made her like more relatable to the character.
Yeah.
And she really passionate about the character.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see. I mean, I think D. Bradley Baker is also...
Oh, yeah, but he's always like that.
Yeah, that's true.
She's the new character, and I don't think we've really seen her in an interview before. I mean, not a panel like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this was her.
Yeah. Maybe she did before, I don't know.
celebration, I
But
think.
yeah, it was nice hearing her. Because, some actors just show up, read a few lines, and go home.
Yeah.
Quoting Drake and Josh. And it's really nice. It's not common for Star Wars, luckily. It seems like most people doing Star Wars are at least like somewhat interested in it.
Yeah.
But it was nice to see her kind of be on the same level as Dee was with like the passion and stuff. And she had a lot of insight on her character and her episodes and stuff, which was nice to see.
Yeah.
Because comparing to Dee's like insights and stuff on all of his episodes and characters, it's like he has so much cool stuff to say.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And all the crew too. Well, not all the crew, but the 3 that they had there talking about some of the behind the scenes stuff about making the episodes, and them saying
lot
like
of work.
what their favorite stuff was to do.
Yeah.
Was always, like I said, I always love hearing that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'm surprised they did that for the Bad Batch.
What?
That specific panel.
Oh, why?
Like going through what they liked about it. Just because of like, I don't know, timing, I guess. But it was a long panel too. And
Yeah, it was a lot longer than I thought it would be,
yeah.
but it was really good.
Yes.
It was interesting to see how they almost didn't write in the certain thing that happens at the end with a certain character.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want it to happen either. They got just as emotional as we did, and they almost just stopped. Like, they just almost reverted it multiple times.
Yeah, they kind of mentioned like they debated on like making it a happy ending, and then they decided just to go with what they got.
Yeah.
So
And like,
sad.
I'm glad they did what they did, because it was impactful, especially for someone like Omega to go through.
Yeah.
But it still hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my favorite because of... Or did I say it was my second favorite? I don't remember.
Yeah, you said it was your second favorite.
Yeah. Just because of all of them really passionate about it. And they announced season 3, which
Yes.
we didn't know for sure that was going to happen, but with the way it ended.
Yeah, they had to.
Oh, and that trailer, not trailer, but like the recap video at the beginning. Did you watch that?
Mm-mm.
It was like at the beginning of the panel.
Oh, yeah.
Just a recap
Yeah.
of season 2. That was emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it'll be the final season.
Yeah. Which is good.
Yeah, not a surprise.
Yeah. It's
There's-
always good to have a conclusion that you set out for instead of dragging it on and on.
Yeah. Like,
So-
there is more story I think they could tell, but like
Oh, yeah.
they shouldn't.
They
They
definitely
can
could.
leave it to another show maybe.
Yeah.
Unless they...
I could see them setting up another show.
Yeah.
Because I think there's still a big gap between like when this is going to end. I mean, we don't know how far it's going to jump ahead. Well, we kind of do, because they showed footage that we didn't get to see again.
Yeah.
But apparently there is a little bit of a time jump because Omega looks a little different.
Oh, yeah, they talked about this.
So, but it's not going to be that far. So I think there's still going to be enough of a gap between the end of season 3 and Rebels with Rex. That could be a new show. I mean,
I'm for that.
yeah. As long as Echo survives.
Echo lives till the Ahsoka series?
Echo would probably die in that show, though. I mean, there's got to be a reason he's not with Rex at the time of Rebels.
Yeah. I mean, we're lucky he's even alive right now.
Well, yeah.
So, yeah, I think if he has a really nice conclusion to his story, like, it'll be
You're
good.
saying he doesn't die.
No, I'm saying if he dies in a satisfying way.
Like a heroic way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like thou who shall not be named.
Yeah.
I would be okay with it
Yeah.
in this
You can
theoretical show.
make peace with it.
Yes.
Is the right thing to say. Yeah. Other than that, the last thing was the Obi-Wan panel, and it was so good.
It was
So the Obi-Wan show was one of those things where like the end was so good, but it wasn't a perfect series.
No.
There was a lot of bumps along the way.
Yeah.
But after watching all those clips, I was like, oh, it's so good. Like I forgot how good it was.
I think that's kind of a show that you would want to watch all the way through.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think that's how all shows should be watched.
well,
But
yeah, but we didn't get to see it like that. So I think we got to, be more picky on the bad parts of the show.
yeah, I mean, that's the downside to weekly release.
Yeah.
That happened to Mandalorian every season.
Yeah.
Almost every episode. It's like, oh man, that episode wasn't that good.
And the next week's is really good.
Yeah, and then the week after that is not so good.
Yeah.
And then people are like, oh, this is the worst Star Wars we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And then the next episode, Luke Skywalker shows up and it's like, oh, this is the best Star Wars we've
Yeah.
ever seen. That's exactly what happened with Obi-Wan. It's like, oh, those pirates were moving really slow in that chase, in that first episode or second episode.
Yeah.
Like, oh, but the next episode, they were on that city planet and there's like a lot of cool stuff. Or like,
Yeah. So I think, in due time, I would want to sit down and just watch the whole thing as like a long movie.
Yeah. It still makes me wish they just made it a movie, but
Yeah. But it makes me want, like, not a second season, but like more Vader.
yeah. We talked about this before,
Yeah.
probably on the show.
Yeah, I think
When
so.
we talked about Obi-Wan, how they can't really do a season 2
Right.
because you can't just keep bringing Obi-Wan out to save Leia all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they just kind of like how people have said with Solo, doesn't have to be a sequel of that specific thing, but it could kind of be a, what's the word?
I don't know what you're meaning.
A spiritual successor. That's the term. So yeah, like having a Vader series, like picking up where that show left off
With the other character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like with Solo, pick up where Kira left off, or Maul, or whatever.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah. Why hasn't that happened,
Yeah.
Lucasfilm?
Yeah, I just think everybody would want a Vader series or at least a movie. Like,
Yeah.
they have Hayden.
Yeah. He loves doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a movie would be more likely, but
Probably the safer option.
I think a series would make more sense if they did it right. Like, imagine a series like Andor, but with Vader. Like, that level of writing, and like he finds out there's a Jedi out there, and like it's just about him like investigating and like trying to find out where this Jedi is.
Would you say it would take the whole season to find that Jedi? Or would you say, like, he is looking for a big Jedi, but he encounters smaller Jedi on the way?
Little baby Jedi.
The baby Jedi.
Kills the younglings in every episode to get to the main one.
Sounds so bad. The younger, less experienced Jedi who are trying to take the heat off of the bigger Jedi.
Because that's too many Jedi. People already complain too much about there being too many survivors.
I agree.
And I'm like half on their side and half not. Like, it's a big galaxy. There's a lot of Jedi. There's no way all of them were killed in one day.
Yeah, so, some of them were on vacation.
Yeah. Especially during the Clone Wars. Like, they were everywhere.
Yeah.
So I don't really subscribe to that critique all the way, but I don't think there should be too many. Like, having a show where every episode there's a new Jedi, probably too much.
Okay, so...
But, like, if it was, like, 6 episodes, or like Obi-Wan, 8 episodes, right? It's 8. So it's not like a long, like, 12-episode series or anything. So keep it short, but, like, have it where, like, the end is he gets to the Jedi, but it's like him, like,
being Vader,
being like in that episode where he's dragging people around and like trying to figure out where this guy or girl is. Like,
I just thought of a really cool thing that doesn't have to do with the Jedi for Vader. Is if he has to track down like rogue clones, like the Bad Batch, or a rebel operative type of group, like Saw Gerrera or something like that. Like that quality of group that he has to track down that would need Vader level threat to kind of disperse.
I mean,
and then at the very end, like, he has to kill a Jedi of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how that would work. Or if it was multiple seasons and like each season, like, the threat is bigger and bigger. So like the first season, the threat is like that rebel cell or whatever. Second season, like something bigger, like a Jedi Padawan or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third season is like a Jedi Master that we know.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And then just like keep it at 3. Just like, that's it.
Yeah.
But that would be so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back to the Obi-Wan panel.
Yeah, so Vivian, the little girl that plays Leia.
Yes.
She's so well spoken.
Yeah, she's like
a little genius.
Yeah. I think they mentioned she's like got a photographic memory.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Which explains why she is the way she is.
Yeah, she's a very good public speaker. Even though, like, she mentioned she was nervous.
You could tell, like, some of the things she said didn't make all that much sense.
Yeah.
But
I mean, she's 9.
Yeah,
so.
She's a kid, so yeah, she was great. And the way she kept, like, smiling so big at Ewan and Hayden.
It's just awesome.
She's, like, loving it. And she had, like, her favorite moments and had really, like, profound things to say.
Yeah.
I mean, not like adult level profound, but for a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that she had blue eyes naturally. So when she first came out, I was like, was that the same girl? Like, didn't even look like her at first. Because she has brown eyes in the show, because Leia has brown eyes. Did you not even notice?
I don't look at eyes that
Because she had
much.
really bright blue eyes.
Okay. Interesting.
So, like, I almost didn't recognize her.
I didn't know Leia had brown eyes. I mean, I know Anakin has blue and Padme has brown.
Luke has blue.
Luke has blue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So she wore contacts during that show, apparently.
Or they just edited it.
There's no way. It'd be so much easier just to get contacts.
For a 9-year-old?
Yeah.
Okay. Huh? Either way, I'm glad they noticed that detail.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd have some mad fans for a legacy character.
I would be mad.
Yeah, her acting in the show was
so good.
I think Ewan said that is like professional. Like,
yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, the way he said it was like kind of offensive if it was anyone else but a child. But he's like, her acting was like actually really good.
Yeah.
Like, thanks, man. But she took it like an actual compliment because that's how he meant it.
Yeah. And she deserves it. I think I want her more in Star Wars. Like, I want her to pop up in a later show.
I feel like she probably would.
Like maybe season 2 Andor would be the only show that she could do it.
That would be interesting.
Maybe Ahsoka.
I don't know if it would be anything. Andor would be the only thing that would make sense.
Well, for her specifically, yeah. Well, no, because she'd be too young.
In Andor?
Yeah. Because it fits around Rebels time, a little bit after.
Well, if season 2 takes place, there's still 3 different years that they could play with there.
In either way,
she would actually be too. Yeah, she would be too young.
Yeah, because she'd be like 17.
Yeah. So it would have to take place around the Obi-Wan time.
Because Leia is in Rebels.
Yeah.
And she's like a teenager.
Yeah, she's like 18 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I still want Vivian to be Leia in a show again.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll happen.
She's
I mean, as she gets older, like she'll just have a different time period to play it each time.
Yeah. Which is awesome.
Favorite things from the show that you could remember?
Besides just having Ewan and Hayden back, which is obvious.
Yeah.
I would say getting to see Vader be
himself.
Vader, like
be his best self.
Villain Vader, yeah. Not diplomatic Vader.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say diplomatic is the word, but
well, yeah. Vader from Rogue One, basically.
Yeah.
Is what we got. And I think that was my favorite part.
Yeah.
Him coming down that aisle with dragging the guy.
Oh my gosh.
Or girl or whatever. Just to see what Obi-Wan would do.
Yeah.
It's definitely the best scene.
And when when they sense each other.
Yeah. I mean, you could just...
I forgot about that.
We mentioned that in the podcast that I was in.
Yeah, that was the one that you were in.
Where you could just see Obi-Wan, like, get cold. Like...
Yeah.
As just the presence of Vader, you know?
Yeah. What was your favorite scene?
Probably that one.
Where he's dragging the people? Yeah. That's definitely...
I have a
one of
second
mine.
one, maybe.
I have like 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's definitely up there for me. I mean, the end scene, the end fight,
Yeah.
where he cracks the mask,
Yeah.
definitely up there.
Yeah.
All the moments that they picked were so good in that panel. Well, not all of them, not Indira's, but
Well,
she picked that because of herself.
well, that's what they were doing, was picking moments that they were in.
Yeah, I don't think that was her best moment though.
No.
The one that in that scene when he's dragging the people around, I think that was one of her best moments where she's like just as panicked.
Yeah.
And stuff, but also when she goes out and dies.
Yeah.
It's one of her good scenes.
I think she chose that mostly because of what she said earlier in the panel, where she liked being that duality personality or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but yeah, I wouldn't say it was her best.
No, I don't even think it was her best duality scene either.
Yeah,
I think when they like first went in, or when she first went in at that like checkpoint and talked to that officer, I thought that one was probably the best one for that.
Yeah.
But I also think she wanted to showcase Moses Ingram,
which
is good.
Surprised she wasn't there. What?
You're surprised?
What
She's got a
happened?
lot of hate.
Really?
Yeah. She's just another
I think
victim.
we talked about this before.
Yeah, she was just another victim of like stupid hate from the fans.
I thought she was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really like I liked the character, but I didn't think it was a necessary character.
No, I don't think any of them were. Any of the Inquisitors. I didn't think we needed to have a...
I mean, for the time period, I do think we needed the Inquisitors
We
there.
needed the Inquisitors, but I didn't think we needed
We didn't need a personal story for one of them.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Like, it was kind of cool, but it was like they just made that to fill time for a TV show. Whereas, like, it was supposed to be a movie. They could have just cut out all of those parts and make it a little bit shorter and stuff.
Yeah.
It just didn't really feel necessary. You didn't really feel connected to her, especially at the end. She didn't need to survive that. She should have been killed by Vader.
Yeah. I think we all wanted that to happen.
Yeah.
Not because she was bad, but because she messed up.
Yeah.
And that's what Vader does, is kill people who mess up.
Yeah. And they just have way too much of a habit of making people survive in Star Wars these days.
Yeah.
To people like Darth Vader. Like, that doesn't happen.
Yeah. What was your favorite one?
I can't decide. Favorite scene, I guess. I think my favorite scene is the one that Ewan picked. I think it's the one that he picked where he's saying goodbye. Is that the one that he picked? I'm pretty sure it was.
Goodbye to Leia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not because he's saying goodbye to her. It's because he starts to tell her more about
her parents,
Anakin and Padme.
Yeah.
And that's really gets to me.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that moment, not necessarily that scene, but that moment is one of my favorites. But as far as a whole scene goes, I'd probably have to go with like the last battle where he cracks the mask.
Yeah. Intense.
Yeah. So good.
Definitely almost cried.
I did cry.
My second favorite would be, besides that, when he brings down the ship,
Yeah.
the Force, and then rips it open. It's
Yeah.
like, yes.
See, if he had killed her in that scene,
Yeah.
that would have been like the perfect Darth Vader scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't get it.
I don't know if that was Deborah's choice or if that was the writer's choice. but
I don't know.
I
Probably
can see it
Deborah's.
going both ways.
Yeah. She's definitely not the perfect director.
I thought she did it well, but I don't know. The writing was,
The directing was, I mean, remember how slow the chase scenes were?
Yeah. But, I mean, I could say that for Mando, too.
Yeah. She directed the Mando episode. You could say it about Book of Boba Fett.
Yes.
That's probably what you're thinking of.
Yes.
Yeah.
With
The scooters.
I almost said strollers.
Might as well have been. Yeah. That guy is not that great of a director, in my opinion. Speaking of Mando, thoughts on season 3 so far? Or saying this before the day before episode 7, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Comes out tomorrow.
Yeah, 7 and 8.
So
are the last ones.
We have 2 more episodes to go. So the last episode was the one with Jack Black.
Yeah. The season as a whole so far has been awesome, I think. I think we're being led somewhere, like with the mythosaur, but
We've gotta.
I can see it where we're not going to see it again till next season. I can see that happening.
Yeah.
And I'll be very disappointed.
Yeah.
But with, I don't know, gathering the two groups of Mandalorians that are out there that we know of, I think is perfect for that final episode being like going to go kill the mythosaur, taking back Mandalore.
Yeah.
And then,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the play.
It could very not be. I don't know.
Yeah, there's so much that's left. I feel like. I mean,
then you have to fit in Gideon somewhere. / Thrawn. I don't know if they're gonna tease him into this season or not.
Yeah.
But they got to do Gideon. They've mentioned it so many times.
Yeah, when he didn't show up last time, I was like, why? Why?
Yeah, and then we have this weird episode of like Jack Black and Lizzo.
Yeah,
but not Gideon.
They teased him at the end of the episode before, right? With the ship.
Yeah, and the Beskar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the Beskar. And then the first episode or first scene in that next episode had to do with like the Mandalorians that were like they were in an Imperial ship.
Yeah, which was awesome.
Yeah. So it was like, oh, they were probably the ones that did it. And then they're like, oh, no, probably not. Which still probably could be.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
But that would be evil.
But if they find out, like Bo and Din find out.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. That could happen.
But I could see that happening very likely.
Yeah. But yeah, there's still so much that needs to be resolved or at least set up. Like if they're not going to show the mythosaur again, they still have to like, I would hope they would like at least show something about it. Like we saw it wake up or something.
Yeah,
so it's
setting
there.
It up for next season.
What if it like comes out and like starts doing something? I don't know. Yeah, set up next season.
And I think you mentioned Bo or Katie Sackhoff saying at the celebration that like they filmed so much that hasn't even been shown yet, and there's only 2 episodes left.
Yeah, she was shocked that there's so much left that she hasn't seen. I mean, there's always a chance that it was just cut.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So we'll see tomorrow.
I'm going to guess that these last 2 episodes are at least 50 minutes.
I hope.
If they're not, what's the point?
If it's not exactly 50, I'm not watching it.
Yeah, I'll be confused, like, of what could even happen in that time period of less than half an hour for both of them, maybe. Or,
I mean,
like, not less than half
a
an hour.
lot can be shown in just 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, the first episode of the season was kind of like that. A lot happened.
Yeah.
I mean, it did feel rushed, but still. Hopefully they don't rush the last two.
Yeah.
That's my one hope.
I think there's like so many potentials that it's exciting. I think it's going to end with a bang. I mean, it
Yeah.
has to.
It doesn't have to.
Always does, though. Luke Skywalker first season, I forget it.
Wasn't it the Darksaber?
I think so. Oh yeah, it was Gideon stepping out of the TIE fighter. Yeah,
I don't know.
something big.
What are you most looking forward to that was as a part of Celebration?
I guess the Acolyte. But honestly, like for next steps, like since Ahsoka's next in line, I'm excited for that. There's just so much hype, so much hope for it.
Hype and hope.
That it's making me excited for it.
Plus, you get a chance to maybe see Hayden as Anakin.
There is that chance, which everybody should be happy about.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd probably agree. Oh, we didn't even talk about Skeleton Crew, but there's not really that much to say.
I am excited for that. I
I
did have
am
a
too.
question for you about that. Is that at the exact same time as like the Mandoverse? It's not like near the end, like a different.
It's supposed to be during the same time.
So like, okay,
Like it'll probably play into the movie.
big movie. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking like if that's a little farther down the line, like closer to the sequels.
Oh no, it's not.
Okay. Because I was thinking like maybe Rey has something to do with that too. But if it's closer to Mando, then that's not even a thing.
Yeah, it's supposed to take place during the same time, and it's about kids that they go on an adventure. They like steal someone's ship.
Yeah.
And then
they have a Jedi, I think.
I don't know if he's a Jedi, but Jude Law is supposed to be like a Force user, or at least pretending to be. They showed the footage, and all we have to go on is someone else's description of what happened in it. But
I think that's a good actor to have in that.
Oh, he's so good.
Yeah. I'm confused on how, if it is a Jedi, was he trained with Luke?
So here's the main theory that makes sense, the most sense.
Okay.
Do you remember who Lor Santeca was?
Yeah.
There's a theory that it's him.
Okay.
Because he was like a member of the Church of the Force.
Yeah.
So he like might be Force sensitive enough to do something like that. Because in the footage, apparently he like uses the Force to like take something out of one of the kids' hands or something like that.
Yeah.
But if he's not a Jedi, he could be a different kind of Force user like that. And the age kind of lines up a little bit if he's playing a little older than he actually is. And
yeah. Interesting.
You know, ages in Star Wars are kind of wacky anyways.
I mean, it's in a galaxy far, far away.
But I think that would be really cool.
I like that idea.
Like it can be a new character, but since we don't know that much about that character anyways. But his family is also part of the High Republic. He has like a long line of people, apparently.
I'm pretty sure they are in charge of the hyperspace stuff.
Maybe.
I think, if I remember.
Yeah. But it's like a long line of Force users. But it's also kind of like a minor character that doesn't have a lot of backstory already. So it's just kind of one that they could use.
Yeah.
So I think it makes sense.
Yeah, that's a great direction to go if that's what they're going to do.
Yeah. So, and it would make sense that he would have a map. Like if he's like a pirate kind of guy.
Yeah.
In The Force Awakens, he's the one that has the map to Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of his thing.
Then that makes sense because they are in charge of the hyperspace lanes. His family. So that'd be cool.
It's all coming together.
Yeah, that's awesome.
If it's not him, we're gonna be disappointed.
Yeah.
No, but I don't really care who he is in the end. He's just a good actor, so if it's just a new character, then. But I suspect he's not a Jedi. It's just someone that might, a Force sensitive that might have learned to use it and uses it for whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of people like that out there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm surprised we haven't seen more.
Kind of brings in the dark Jedi thing too. Like, they're not trained by Jedi, I would say.
Yeah.
They're kind of just their own thing. At least that's what I understand of
them. Yeah, I mean, when you have so long where there's no Jedi, what do Force-sensitive people do? They just go about their life.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a awesome time to be a Star Wars fan.
Yeah, there's so much good stuff to be looking forward to.
Yeah, I think it's spaced out really well, even though they're adding more and more and more.
Yeah.
And they want to add more to that.
Yeah, it's not like Marvel where it's like there's a new thing like every other month.
Yeah.
There's some space in between them. We haven't had movies in a long time.
5 years?
No. It was 2019.
3 years. Math.
Almost 4 years. Which is a long time, considering we were getting them like every year for a while.
Yeah, which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
If they can figure out the story, which it sounds like they are going to try 3 different eras.
Yeah.
Which is okay.
Yeah.
I'm fine with
Just
that.
good, something good for everybody, seems like. And they were originally going to do that Rogue Squadron movie, which sounded cool, but I don't think that would have
appealed to everybody.
Yeah. I personally don't really care that much about space combat and pilots and stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
that's just me.
I would have liked it.
I would have liked it, but I like Jedi stuff more.
Yeah.
Jedi and Sith are where it is. So,
yeah.
I'm glad they kind of put that on the back burner.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the 4th one that'll come out eventually. But sticking with these 3 and the shows is probably the smartest move.
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to mention?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, a very Star Wars focused episode today. David's still gone, so I get to do whatever I want. No, he should be back in May sometime. So maybe we'll get him to call in here soon on an episode, or just wait till he gets back. But we are planning on doing another podcast sometime this month, maybe. So stay tuned for that. If you haven't watched our last few, the last episode was about Jedi Academy, the old game from 2003. I talked to one of my friends from that community that I've known for a while, and it went really well. So if you are a Star Wars fan of old Star Wars games and like Jedi Academy or Jedi Outcast, then you can check that out. It was a really fun episode to just talk about that game and what it means to us. Other than that, thank you for joining us, and don't forget to like and subscribe and all that garbage, and we will see you next time.